morning, my name is Josh from CyclonesOZ, and here's your detailed weather forecast update for Friday, the 1st of August 2025. We are steaming through the year, that's for sure. Plenty of weather to be talking about over the next couple of days as well across multiple parts of Australia, especially across our eastern coast. We're going to be talking about some significant storms developing throughout the course of this weekend. Rainfall also moving through the central coast of Queensland, a strong weather system forecast to the southwest of WA. But let's talk about all of that right now coming up in today's weather forecast update. If you are brand new to the channel, please do consider subscribing. But starting things off this morning, over in the northeast of New South Wales, I promise I'll get to Queensland shortly. We've got a low pressure system beginning to develop now across the New South Wales-Queensland border, just outside of Moree is where I'm expecting this low pressure system to begin developing. It's on the southwestern side of this massive cloud band that's streaming through down from northern Queensland into the southeast this morning, and it's what's been giving way to all of those interesting cloud formations that we saw last night. A few showers are currently materialising across the New South Wales coastline as well, especially around the Hunter Coast north of Sydney through Newcastle area. We've got a couple of heavier showers and rain bands moving through here, and that's a precursor to what we're expecting over the next couple of days, to be frank. A few showers also scattered through interior parts of New South Wales. It's the remnants of that low pressure system that moved through South Australia 2 days ago, which actually dropped some small hailstones here and there through the interior parts of South Australia. Not a sight we see every year, that's for sure. Let's jump into the forecast part right now, because that is the most important aspect of this update here. We've got this shower activity expected to increase along the coastline today, especially around the Hunter coastline, then extending north into the mid-north coastline, which is going to increase throughout the remainder of today. Showers are also expected to increase, tending to storms at times across the northern half of New South Wales, especially into the north-central parts of the state outside of places such as Woodnaring, extending towards the east through Burke, Lightning Ridge, Walgett, Moree, Narrabri. Those sort of places we're expecting showers be quite widespread throughout the remainder of today, really increasing into this afternoon. And then you can see the proper low pressure system beginning to get its act together later this evening and into very early tomorrow morning. It is a very complex weather system here. We're expecting one low pressure system to hover around the border of Queensland and New South Wales into the interior parts of the state before another stronger and more dominant low pressure system into the very early hours of tomorrow morning gets itself together here just offshore from the Queensland New South Wales border around Cape Byron area and the Gold Coast. This one's going to develop just offshore, and that's going to begin funneling heavy showers ashore into New South Wales from very early tomorrow morning, probably from later tonight, to be honest, after about 10 or 11 o'clock tonight, but really into early tomorrow morning is when these showers are expected to increase. The energy of that first low pressure system, which is going to form and perish throughout the course of today, is then going to be absorbed by this stronger low pressure system along the coastline, which then through Saturday morning is really going to intensify heading down the New South Wales coastline. And this is where our first round of significant severe weather is expected for the New South Wales coastline in the next couple of days. This low pressure system here will then get itself jammed up against the New South Wales coastline, continuing to intensify very quickly through tomorrow afternoon, and then through tomorrow afternoon into tomorrow evening, a heavy concentrated band of rainfall is expected to move into the New South Wales coastline, somewhere between Kempsey down to Newcastle. We're really narrowing down a few locations around Foster and Taree now this morning, and we're expecting some very heavy rainfall through tomorrow afternoon into tomorrow evening. This is a type of rainfall that's caused by East Coast low type systems, and whilst this storm is not going to be anywhere near strong enough to be classified as an East Coast low, it's going to have a couple of characteristics from it, most notably the rainfall and also the strong winds and potentially a storm tide as well through some of these worst impacted locations along the coastline. So pay close attention to what I'm saying in the next couple of minutes. It is important, and there is severe weather on the cards. From about 3 or 4 o'clock tomorrow, the rainfall is really going to pick up around the Barrington Tops. So on top of the rainfall that falls through the morning and the early afternoon hours, we're expecting 6-hourly rainfall accumulations around that 120 millimetre mark to occur from about midday onwards to about 6 or 7 o'clock at night. Rainfall is then going to slowly ease off as this low pressure system falls apart through late Saturday night, and after about 10 o'clock, the heavy rainfall threat does diminish, but we're still talking about moderate rainfall and heavy showers moving in here and there into the Hunter coastline, still making it into the Barrington Tops, and light rainfall extending inland through northern New South Wales, but really expecting a much weaker system to be occurring through later Saturday night, and then as we cross in towards Sunday morning, the energy from this system then gets absorbed by a much stronger system well offshore from the New South Wales coastline. This one here could cause some problems as well, but I'll get to that in just 30 seconds. Strong winds are also expected to be quite a significant hazard from this weather system here. With this storm, when it's at its peak intensity, which will be sometime between midday out to about 4 or 5 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, offshore from the New South Wales coastline, peak wind gusts will be around that 90 to 100 km/h mark here, with the heaviest showers and rain bands coming through. And like I said, rainfall rainfall accumulations around that 120 millimeter mark over a 6-hour period are expected with this weather system moving through. This will look at rainfall accumulations here from the East and West forecast, so take this with a heavy pinch of salt. I think it's definitely on the lower side of what we're expecting here, but 12-hourly rainfall accumulations around that 100 millimeter mark is what the European forecast is suggesting, and then more widespread falls between 50 to 75 millimeters are expected throughout other parts of the mid-north coast and then into the Hunter region as well. Sydney could be picking up 40 millimeters of rainfall from this weather system as well. If the forecast does change, there'll be a detailed forecast update on YouTube later tonight, but we will get access to the convective forecast models and what they have to say from this weather system here later tonight, and I'll have a detailed forecast update on this weather event on the Facebook page as well. But the convective forecast models, they generally get the rainfall in these sort of weather systems bang on. It's because they're more aggressive, and weather events like this generally result in much higher accumulations than what some of the major forecast models do expect. So when the convective forecast models come out, I'm expecting to be seeing numbers around that 100 to 150 millimeter mark around the Barrington tops. Newcastle about 80 millimeters, Foster and Taree probably about 100 to 125 millimeters, Kempsey and Port Macquarie about 100 millimeters apiece, and then anywhere further north, Coffs Harbour, Earborn and Buckerhead somewhere around that 40 to 60 millimeter mark, and again 40 to 60 millimeters expected along the coast south of Newcastle through Gosford, Sydney, Wollongong, and then slightly higher accumulations expected outside of Wollongong, Bowral, and Nowra as well, extending further south down to Ulladulla as well. Let's talk about that second system now. There's so much to be talking about across New South Wales in terms of weather, but later on at Saturday we will see the development of another low pressure system further offshore from the New South Wales coastline, in fact further offshore from the Queensland coastline rather. This weather system here is going to develop into a very strong low pressure system very quickly through Saturday night into Sunday morning, and by Sunday morning we'll be waking up to an absolute monster offshore from New South Wales and Queensland. Pressure in the low 980s, a very strong weather system, that's for sure. This would be a very powerful east coast low if it was closer to the coastline, but thankfully this system here, by some saving grace from Queensland and New South Wales, gets pushed offshore around lunchtime on Sunday before it can get any closer to New South Wales and Queensland. Gets pushed offshore through Sunday afternoon, and then through Monday it slowly dissipates as it heads out towards Norfolk Island and the northern parts of New Zealand. It looked very dicey for a second that this system was going to come close to New South Wales and Queensland, especially through Sunday afternoon. It looks like it's going to make a very close approach, that's for sure, and some strong winds and heavy showers almost certainly expected through Sunday morning into Sunday afternoon as this system really intensifies and ramps up offshore from the eastern states, but it's not going to come close enough as to where significant severe weather impacts are expected, and trust me, that is a good thing. Winds around this system here will be well in excess of 130 kilometers an hour, and as this system approaches its peak intensity, wind gusts could get as high as 150 or even 160 kilometers an hour. That is a whole level up from what Cyclone Alfred even was wind-wise and rainfall-wise, so this is a very strong weather system here. Very good news that it's going to hover well away from the New South Wales and the Queensland coastline, because if this system was to stay right around the coastline, it would cause all sorts of problems. This would be an absolute disaster of a weather system. So again, that is very good news indeed. New South Wales and Queensland, you have nothing to worry about from this second weather system here, just apart from some strong winds and some heavy showers here and there. Gusts could reach 100 kilometers an hour around Cape Byron. A severe weather warning is likely to be issued, and of course boating and all shore-based marine-based activities through southeast Queensland and the northeast of New South Wales this weekend, avoid at all costs. This is a strong weather system here. Seas and swells will be very high, well away from this weather system, that's for sure. What warnings and what impacts can I be expecting for my location across the northeast of New South Wales? Well, I'd be shocked if a severe weather warning for damaging winds isn't issued from this weather system here, and I'd also be shocked if a severe weather warning for heavy rainfall wasn't issued for Saturday afternoon and evening across the mid-north coast and parts of the Hunter region as well. Those around the Barrington tops, including those in the Gloucester River catchment and also the Hunter River catchment, are most likely to be the worst off from this weather system here. We'll be talking about heavy rainfall accumulations being the main threat, with falls up to around that 150 to 200 millimeter mark expected just Saturday afternoon alone. That will be on top of what rainfall does fall over the next 24 hours as well, because we are expecting some good showers to move into those regions. As you can see on the rainfall map here, there are still some heavy showers along the coastline. Rainfall accumulations will be a lot more manageable around the Sydney area. We're still expecting a wet period Saturday afternoon, which could bring between 30 to 60 millimeters to the metro area, and that will include rainfall that does come through Saturday morning as well. So some heavy falls are possible into the Sydney metro area, and some isolated heavy falls are also expected south to about Ulladulla and Jervis Bay as well through the New New South Wales coastline. Rainfall's not expected to be heavy anywhere north of about Kempsey or Port Macquarie at this point in time. Rainfall accumulations will kind of stop at around Kempsey. We're not expecting anything further north of that to be anything significant at all. But like I said, some really good rainfall accumulations are expected in this area here. If you do live in a really flood-prone area, I'd suggest preparing for minor flooding at this point in time. Maybe having a few sandbags on standby as well. Rainfall from these sort of weather events can get really out of hand really quickly, so make sure you are prepared for the absolute worst. But at this point in time, I wouldn't be preparing for all-out Armageddon. This is the type of weather that we see between 3 and 5 times a year across the northeast of New South Wales, so it's not like we're complete strangers to this type of weather. Even on a yearly basis, we do see this multiple times, so it's not completely unusual, but it certainly is something that's packing a punch in this weather system here. Is something to be aware about, so make sure you are in the know and make sure you are ready for some significant rainfall, some damaging winds, and some flooding if you do live in a really flood-prone area as well. Southeast Queensland, you don't really have anything to be worrying about at all. And just before I get up into the forecast for Queensland, I would like to talk about the snowfall forecast across the southeast of Queensland and also over parts of the northeast of New South Wales. It's looking really disappointing for Queensland. I said it in yesterday's forecast update, but I was holding on to a little bit of hope. But I would personally be surprised if we saw any snowfall, whether that's flurries or accumulations across the southeast of Queensland through the granite belt there. We were kind of hoping that this system would ride a little bit further north for that snowfall to be a high likelihood across Queensland. It's now riding a lot further south, and as you saw on the map just previously, the low pressure system is expected to sit itself offshore from about Taree. It's just going to be too far north of Queensland, that is, for snowfall to really pick up there. Good snowfall, though, expected outside of Nundle and Walcher in the northeast of New South Wales, especially through the Barrington Tops area and around the tablelands. We'll be talking about snowfall accumulations between 15 to 25 centimetres, with some isolated falls up to 35 centimetres also possible. It should be the best snowfall in years of this part of New South Wales, so definitely holding on to some good hope there for snowfall. Outside of Armidale and Guyra, snowfall accumulations around that 8 to 10 centimetre mark. Armidale itself could see around 5 centimetres of snow as well, so some good snowfall expected there. Ebor looking at about 5 centimetres as well, and then further north through Glen Innes, Deepwater, and then up towards Tenterfield and some of the locations closer to the Queensland border. Accumulations of just a centimetre or two are expected there. Again, Glen Innes typically receives some good snowfall and weather events like this, but this one's just going to be too far south for Glen Innes to really pick up some solid snowfall. All the good stuff is going to happen further south, and unfortunately for Queensland, that means you guys miss out. I would not be expecting anything across Queensland. Anything that falls is a bonus. It could happen. It's most likely not going to happen, but for the granite belt, don't get your hopes up. Snowfall accumulations not expected to be anything significant or anything notable at all throughout the course of this weekend. Now, what a cloud band this is moving through coastal parts of Queensland. Check this out. Looking north, it's extending from the Cape York Peninsula around the Cairns area, where a few showers persisting this morning, right down to south of southeast Queensland, where a few showers are currently occurring offshore. There's very little rainfall in this cloud band here, and you can see hardly anything falling across the central regions of Queensland. A solid band of moderate rainfall has built itself up, extending over the Whitsundays, north of Mackay through Bowen, Townsville, and then up towards Cardwell Gap area, and then moving north towards Cairns. We've got a few showers into those areas as well. Like I said in yesterday's forecast update for Mackay, the rainfall is going to be very touch and go, and it looks like it has been pretty much bang in the middle of touch and go. We've got a few drops of rainfall in Mackay right now. I think they've had about 4 or 5 millimetres in the last 12 hours, so nothing notable indeed. But this rainfall here, this band isn't solid rainfall, it's just patchy stuff, so the accumulations aren't going to be anything too extreme from this rainfall band that's moving through. But for Mackay, we weren't expecting too much in the way of rainfall, and really not much has fallen. A couple of good drops around the Whitsundays, some stronger wind gusts as well, pushing around that 40 to 50 kilometre an hour mark, and some heavier falls have been experienced around Bowen and then up towards Ayr, and then even north of Townsville up around Ingham and Cardwell, we've had about 20 millimetres overnight as well. So the rainfall there now beginning to ease off. We're not expecting anything too significant in those regions either. A few more drops around the Cassowary coast as well, and a few more drops also expected through the Whitsundays, but the bulk of this rainfall should move offshore in the next couple of hours or so, and by this afternoon it'll just be humid, sticky, and cloudy by the looks of things as this rainfall begins to build further offshore. Interesting stuff, that's for sure. A bit unseasonal for Queensland, especially at this time of the year. It's not usually normal that we're talking about rainfall for the Whitsundays or the central Queensland coastline. We're normally waiting a few more months for it. So again, that is a sign of things to come. Plenty of rainfall lately over parts of Queensland. And yeah, we're definitely expecting a lot more rainfall over the next couple of months as well. Panning down to the southwest of Western Australia, this is what we're looking at this weekend. This is a big weather system here, a powerful cold front with a strong shower pull behind it. Have a look at some of these speckled clouds here. You know what that means if you live in the southwest of Western Australia. Severe weather, damaging winds, rainfall, the whole 9 miles of winter weather is going to be coming through in the backside of this weather system here. So let's talk about it now. A strong cold front approaching from the southwest is expected to collide with the southwest capes in about 24 hours time actually. We're expecting this rainfall to begin to build across the southwest capes through early Saturday morning. That's going to reach the Perth metro area by around 10 or 11 o'clock in the late morning, and then moving into the wheat belt later on into the early afternoon, then into the late afternoon hours, making it out into the eastern wheat belt, and then into the late evening hours, making it out into the goldfields. Strong winds are expected to come through with this main cold front as well. We're expecting wind gusts around the southwest capes of around that 110 km/h mark. So damaging winds also expected to make it up into the Perth coast and even into the Perth metro area as this cold front moves through. The heaviest falls, because this is going to be a rainfall dominated front, there's going to be a big thick band of rainfall coming through from this weather system here. The heaviest falls will be south of Perth through the Perth Hills down around Dwellingup, Jarrahdale, and then pushing south towards Collie, and some good rainfall accumulations also expected through parts of the southwest coast and the south coastal regions as well. Heavy falls also possible into the Perth metro area briefly into the late morning hours, and some moderate falls expected further north into the central west and even up in towards the northwest as well through Geraldton and Kalbarri. We might be seeing some moderate falls later on into the afternoon and into the early evening as this frontal system comes through. And then it's going to be sweeping up from the south. This this heavy band of showers and rainfall is going to sweep up from the south, colliding with the southwest capes early Sunday morning and then really beginning to build through Sunday morning into early Sunday afternoon. The worst of the weather is going to come through the Perth metro area through late Sunday morning and into early Sunday afternoon. We're expecting damaging winds, heavy rainfall, small hailstones, plenty of showers be moving through. It just looks like Sunday is going to be a washout entirely. These showers building through the morning, reaching a peak at around 10 or 11 o'clock in the morning, and then slowly easing off as the afternoon ticks on. You can see showers and storms actually clearing from the Perth metro area as we get out towards the early evening hours of 6 and 7 o'clock, and then into the night hours. We're not expecting any rainfall to persist, and it looks like it's going to clear up again for a cool morning on Monday, and a cool but clear start to the working week by the looks of things. Like I've said in the previous two forecast updates, Boss's weather fine through the week and cloudy and miserable on the weekend. Rainfall then pushing on into the Great Australian Bight, and then they'll become the next big weather system across southeastern Australia. In fact, a strong hit possible for South Australia and a strong hit also possible for Tasmania. I'll get to that in a future forecast update though. But like I said, some good rainfall accumulations expected across the southwest of Western Australia. Likely to be the best rainfall that we've had in about 2 weeks now across the southwest. Oh no, that's a lie. We had some great rainfall into the earlier parts of last week. So best rainfall that we've had in about a week or so for the Perth metro area. And we could be talking about some widespread falls around that 50 to 60 millimetre mark, and likely higher rainfall accumulations as well around the south coastal regions and around Dwellingup and Collie up to around that 80 millimetre mark. Perth looking at a solid 30 to 40 millimetres of rainfall, half of that coming through from the initial front on Saturday afternoon, and then the other half coming through Sunday morning into Sunday afternoon from showers behind it. But apart from that, really good rainfall coming through from this weather system. Excited to see it across the southwest of Western Australia. We do really need this rainfall, so very, very good news that's for sure developing on the forecast models this morning. Apart from that, there is still plenty more to be talking about across South Australia, Victoria and Tasmania. Like I said, some winter systems expected to come through in the next couple of weeks for them. But there's not an awful lot to talk about. That's not going to make this video any more interesting. So I'm going to leave it here for your Friday morning. I do hope you found this video enjoyable and informative, and preferably both. And if you have, then please consider subscribing and leave a like on the video while you're at it. A special shout out to the channel sponsors. The names are on screen right now. And again, I could not run this show without them. So of course, their support is, as always, much appreciated. If you too want to get your name mentioned as part of the forecast up there, then click the join button down below. It's the best way to financially support the CyclonesOZ channel. That's going to do it for me today. Have a great rest of your week and have a great weekend. I'll catch you on the next storm. Goodbye.